Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Hello, my friends. Here we are again on my roof. It's peaceful here, in spite of in India, it's getting again quite intense from what we hear. But so far, around here, the locals, they don't worry much. As long as there is not a big police force on the road, people behave as usual. It's amazing what's going on around the world. It's amazing what kind of emotions are there. Now this has become so important, everybody always talks about. And even people who are on the spiritual path have the tendency to forget why we are here for. No matter what is happening in this story, no matter how serious it appears, it's not as real as it appears to be. This is a magic show, this world. This is a matrix. And consciousness can dive into that matrix, into this magic show, play there for some time, continuously getting enriched from moment to moment through all the experiences. And there is all the time something that is not affected by it. The person we appear to be is just a projection from the self, from that divine being. Some aspects and some karma to go through is being projected in this matrix, whereas that being is never touched, is never really incarnated. We have to learn to bring the attention back home to that timelessness. Here, now, we are touching that divinity, that essence. However frightening the stories are about outside, this never changes. In the best of the circumstances, in the worst of the circumstances, your unborn, undying, essentially divine, unattached, unconcerned, just watching this whole show and getting in the process richer for the experience, essentially remaining the same and yet getting enriched all the time. Let's not forget about that. Let's not get overwhelmed by all the stories that are going on. And those who have difficulties staying home, if they are still forced to stay home, and are a lot of the time alone and have not the habit of being alone, of not meeting people, just connect with yourself. And when you connect with yourself, more and more you become aware you are connected to everything. Even if externally we seem to be estranged and alone, we are always connected with all there is. The more we are bringing the attention back to that awareness, the more it doesn't matter whether we are alone externally or whether we are with people, whether we are active or not active. Come home to the present, to the timeless, now, here, now, and let go and relax. And then go about it playful, whatever comes. Whether the circumstances are favorable or unfavorable. As long as we are aware that the essence is not being touched, then also unfavorable circumstances are not that much of a big deal. As long as we are identified so totally with that personality we think we are, as long as we are totally identified with that role that we are playing, this seems to be such a harsh situation, such a harsh story. And so people getting heavier and heavier and heavier, and one is influencing the other. The emotions are playing high. Sudha and I have been astonished when we were communicating with people in the West. As soon as one touches subjects that are a bit delicate now, people are getting so strongly emotional, out of proportion. Just bring the attention home, here, now. Timeless, here, now. Consciously be. Be consciously conscious. And relax. Let go. Relax. And then we can go about it with a playful spirit. And the whole story is not more a heavy, heavy burden which we have put on our shoulders, and somehow we have to get dragged through it, but it just becomes an adventurous play. And that intensity of the joyousness of living in the present keeps on gently but continuously increasing if we're not disturbing it. All right, my friends, now I have kept talking on. Now I'm asking you, is there anybody who would like to come in and say something?
Hello.
Please come. Ah, there is somebody. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, Ben.
Hi. Good to see you, Werner.
It's always good to see you.
Nice. I just would like to just touch on what you just said, that this you said this joyousness of being in the present moment, and that instant creativity will keep on becoming more and more if we don't disturb it, is what you just said. And so I would be curious to hear more about what you would consider disturbing this.
I would consider disturbing this everything that pulls our attention away from that and makes us again more identified with that role that we are playing, because invariably then we are also creating all those barriers that that give that feeling of separation, the me and the others, me and the world, me and the universe, me and the creation. The more we are strengthening that feeling of separation, the more we are disturbing that natural increase of that intensity of the joyousness of existence.
But it feels like I have been especially the last few days, couple of weeks, uh, really enjoying that, getting in touch with that feeling of being alone.
Yeah, yeah.
And but then I notice my patterns of, I mean, there are like patterns of creativity, of thoughts, of wanting to continue my work, or but I can feel this is also somehow disturbing that connection with that silence, aloneness. And I just, yeah, this balance is interesting on how am I disturbing it by having these creative thoughts about being active in the world, or is that part of the adventurous play, or it's just finding that balance. And I've found myself recently more and more just coming to the in touch with that kind of silent space. But yeah, I'm just curious how much of my thoughts to go with them or not.
Right. It doesn't mean that in order to be in touch with that, then you have to become totally inactive and not more do anything. It may be very helpful that you have inactive periods in between to strengthen that, to become more aware. But gradually, more and more, one will be capable of expressing that inactivity. And at the same time, when being active or when you think about your activities to come, that you are aware, but no matter what I'm doing, there is still that aspect that is totally silent, immovable. And the activity in itself is not disturbing. Some people are naturally more active and some people are naturally less active. And if you are naturally more active, then it wouldn't be helpful to force yourself to become inactive. Simply, we have to learn not to take ourselves so very serious in what we are doing. That we can do what we do, put in that beautiful creativity, at the same time, not always be worried whether it's perfect or not perfect, whether we are successful or not successful, but just do it, just bring it in playfully into the game. And then you are not disturbing that connection. It's the connection is being disturbed as soon as the identification comes, and with the identifications we take that person, that me, very serious, and well, worried whether it comes out like this, whether it comes like that, out like that, whether people like it or don't like it, what kind of feedback I'm going to get. As soon as you get attached and hooked into that, then you start to disturb.
Yeah, I think that piece of you know, craving some positive feedback, or even just craving more connection. You know, like I'm in an environment where there's quite a few people around, and I've noticed that sometimes I'm trying to just connect with people and or get attention or have some energy exchange. But maybe this is also, it's subtle, no, to notice if is this just out of pure just openness, or do I actually, does my ego in some way want to be recognized? And yeah,
A little bit of that will slip in all the time. But
yeah.
if you are aware of it, then you catch yourself again and again, and then there's no point that you start to punish yourself or to berate yourself. Just see it again, and there I'm going again, and you let go. A speck of that will be there as long as we are appearing in a human form in this human world and play that human role. A speck of that me will be there, but simultaneously we can be aware that there is something else that is not affected by that, but the speck will be there in order to be capable to function. Ben, can you still hear me? Because your image is frozen. So I think the connection with Ben has been cut. But anyhow, I finished the sentence.
Sorry,
Okay.
I disconnected.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
My connection in the woods is sometimes goes on and off.
Yeah, right. Anyhow, I don't know exactly where it cut, but then after that you can check again on the recording. But a speck of that identification will be there. I mean, as long as you are appearing in a human form, in the human world, playing a human role, a speck of that identification, of the attachment to the me is there. It's necessary that we can function at all. But at the same time, your attention can be rooted in that awareness that you're unaffected by any of it. And if that is there, that little speck is not in any way causing problems. It's simply when that becomes the main thing, and out of habit it will happen again and again, that we completely slip into that me, the others. And then when you see it, you just see it. No need of making a big fuss, no need of giving you a lecture, no need of punishing yourself, but just, there I'm going again, and let it go as good as you can and come back. Also that playfully. And then it becomes all quite bearable.
Yeah, I think when it cut, I was just saying that it's been actually giving me a sense of quite empowering to be able to let go of that need for connection or recognition or something.
Yeah.
And I think it's been related to my letting go of this use of weed, and somehow it also helps me let go to that need of other things like a connection or recognition, and it feels nice. It feels quite yeah, empowering, and yeah, it feels good.
Great. Whenever we let go of things, it's like we shed part of the burden that we are carrying. Actually, often we become only aware that we were carrying that burden when we let it go. before it looks that's normal. And then when you get rid of something, how, how nice, you can breathe deeper, you feel lighter, you feel more joyous. But then out of habit, then after some time it can also come back, the mind starts, but after all it would be so nice if this and that would happen. And there you can have a good look at yourself and see whether you're resonating, whether you want to go into those activities and down that road, or whether this is just an old mental habit and there is no resonance. If there is a resonance, then go for it and remain in the present as good as you can. But if you feel it's not necessary to repeat that, it's just the mind that is telling me, after all, you get quite a kick out of this and out of that, then if you feel that your heart is not resonating to go into that, then you just drop it again, even if the pull of the habit comes again. We don't have to be afraid of making mistakes, of doing the wrong thing. Just be honest with yourself, and then even if we do some not so favorable things, if we are honest, look at ourselves, sooner or later we become aware. Actually, that pulled me again really away from the path, away from being connected. So then you just get up and come back, richer for the experience, wiser for the experience.
And the feedback of when we manage to do that and to feel that lightness from letting go of something is a feedback that just gives us the encouragement to know that this is the right path, or that, yeah, like the answer just provides the motivation also somehow. Or
right.
Yeah. And Satsang is also a great motivation. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Werner. So beautiful to be here every Saturday. Thank you.
You are welcome. Hari Om, Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to come? Please come in. Now, many people are forced to be more inactive than they actually want to be. Try not to resist against the fact that it is like that. If you feel like you would like to do so many things, but you can't do it just right now, then accept, okay, it won't be always like this, but for the time being, it's a fact. When we resist against the fact, then we become miserable. If we can accept, okay, this is my situation now, then we can make the best out of it. And for many, many people, it has been quite a blessing that they slowed down, that they were stopped for some time. It was, for many people, it was like a revelation. You can also exist without running, without being in stress all the time. And when we go a step further, we can make extremely good use from a situation like this, where we have less external things to do by becoming more consciously, more acutely conscious. Consciously conscious, consciously alive. Yes, is anybody else there who would like to talk? Please come in.
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Moksha.
Hi, man. It's always a blessing to hear this message. And if I hear you speak, it is so light. And I discover life is really incredible light. And if you are in the mind, it can be so terrible heavy. If I hear you speak, I think sometimes, oh, for some people, it must be hard to hear these words. If you are heavy and you hear somebody speak, oh, it is so nice and easy. But it is like this, right?
Yes. I mean, it's not easy for everybody. When we are in the midst of a story, it seems to be enormous, but it's good to become aware. It's much easier than we think.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And that's really, I can also say this Corona, for me, it's a blessing. Because there's much more, for me, much more possibility to be aware of the self, I would say, instead of being busy with all kinds of important nonsense, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, beautiful. And I'm still doing the cold water stuff.
Yeah.
And it is just a blessing. It's just a blessing. Because everything stops. You cannot think on anything if you are in the cold water.
Yeah.
And then you find enormous beauty.
Yeah. And then when you come out of the cold water and you go about your daily life, it helps you that you have this time in the cold water where you sort of automatically shut down.
It changed the whole day.
Yeah.
And it changed also the body.
Yeah.
Because it is doing enormous good things for the immune system.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel so much power in between. And also, if it's very cold in Germany right now, freezing still in the night.
Still?
Yes, amazing.
Yeah.
And then it is 16, 17 degrees also, So
Yeah.
it is very changing.
Yeah.
And this morning I was walking and it was really cold. And you get a complete different association with cold.
Yeah.
I feel, oh, it is cold. Oh, nice. It's good for me. It's completely changes. There also you can see if you think cold is terrible, it is terrible.
Right.
If this stops, you feel, oh, it is cold, yes, but there's not a story coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this what you said last week. You can use this for the whole life, right?
Right.
Yeah. So it is, and the breathing is also, it is connected with breathing exercises, very simple ones.
Yeah.
And that also changed the whole breathing.
Mm.
And not only if you do it, you through the whole day, it's different. So life becomes very light.
Yes, right.
And,
And
and
physically, you are perfectly fine now because you have no more after effects from your corona infection.
nothing.
Nothing.
Not that, no, not that I'm aware of. And the doctor checked, I had to check, and he said, oh, you are, I am officially healthy.
Officially healthy. Very good.
They have numbers, you with the lungs and blah, 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 and
Yeah, yeah.
oxygen. And
Yeah.
now I'm in the normal level. So he said, you're healthy.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, that's how it feels. So
Yeah. Yeah.
even if so Corona brought me also back to the body somehow.
Yeah.
And that was for me is a big gift.
Right.
I was always doing sports, but in the long run, sport was gone, and now it is back again. And breathing and cold water and running, and the combination with meditation
Mm.
is perfect. And then it is incredible light. Then I'm wondering if I look back, what was so heavy? It is strange. What was so heavy? What I was doing? It's incredible how we can make it heavy.
Yeah. Yeah. We are
So,
doing that all to ourselves.
yes.
Of course, there are circumstances where it's easier understandable that people resist. There are happier circumstances and worse circumstances. But finally, that heaviness, we are doing that to ourselves by resisting to the fact of the experience and then turning it around and round and think it's terrible, it's terrible, it's terrible. And the more we think it, the bigger and bigger and bigger it becomes.
Yeah, and we don't see that we do this normally.
Yeah.
Then I thought it is heavy, it is terrible. But now to see, in the cold water, when it stops a moment, then you can also easily get the view if you come out of it. Oh, it is not the situation is terrible. It is how I deal with it is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these stops are incredible helping.
Yeah. Good. Great.
Yeah.
Mm.
And your satsang is also always a gift to stop this whole drama and to hear you speak. This is lightness and light. It's great. Thank you, Werner.
You're welcome.
Hariom, Hariom.
Hariom, Hariom. Okay. If there is anybody else who would like to talk, you're welcome to come in. Somebody comes there somewhere.
Hi, Werner.
Ah, hello, Helen.
Hello. My question this week is about right use of anger.
Anger.
Yes. I've had a very turbulent week. My mum, who has dementia, she's also Polish. She invited, a Polish couple asked if they could come and stay. So under lockdown.
Yeah.
So they arrived and took over the house. And my mum's routine became, dementia people need routine and stability. And my mum was 20 times worse. And I watched all this happen, and then I threw them out.
Yeah.
So I thought that I would feel better, but I have been speeding for 3 days. And when I go out, I spot mad people immediately, and they spot me. It's like, this is my reflection.
Yeah, yeah.
And the right side of my brain is burning. And I'm just feeling that what I did was right path. But if it was so right, how come I'm having these symptoms, and how come I'm speeding? I just wondered if you had any words to say about it.
Yeah, you may, one part of you, one aspect of you may decide and be convinced this was totally right. And then behind there is always that other part, but maybe it was not right. Maybe I'm a bad girl to do so.
I don't feel that I did was wrong.
Yeah.
Or because I felt it was a very disrespectful thing they did, because they also, during this COVID time, were moving around, mixing with people. It was all against the law, really. I mean, you can get fined for what my mum did, but it was more the personal aspect of spreading the viral load, and also my mum's mental health just completely collapsed.
Yeah.
So I don't feel I did something wrong,
right?
But I feel that I have the whole weight now of this Polish community on my head, that I asked them to leave, even though they had somewhere else to go. His son. They went to stay then with his son.
Yeah.
So there's like this whole Polish community. I don't feel I did anything wrong, but I feel I have this Polish community on my head now that are judging me.
Right. But it's still somewhere deep down, maybe a trace of guilt about it, that you become so sensitive and that it is enough to speed you up. Of course, if there is a reaction, a mental, emotional reaction of some people, when they think of you, then they send you also a certain energy and you have to deal with that.
Yes.
But the more you are really relaxed about it, then the less it influences. So even if you are convinced, and I'm not saying anything against what you did, I'm not saying there was anything wrong with it, but deep down there may be still a little something nagging and not be so sure and sabotaging.
Yes.
And when that is there, then you are more susceptible also to the influence of such reaction.
Yes, I think while we're talking, I'm understanding it's actually more that I got angry, that I couldn't deal with it from the wholeness of my heart, transform the whole situation into beautiful. Actually, that's where the judgment is.
Right.
Yes, yes, you're right.
And of course, no matter what we are doing, after that we always can think I could have done better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We always could have done better after that.
Yes. I could have been more. Yeah. More like Amma.
Anyhow, this will pass, but you cannot conclude totally when you have a lot of external confrontation, and then you think, oh, is this a manifestation of what's happening in my own mind? That, of course, is influencing, but then so many other influences are there, and sometimes we just go through periods where we are meeting unfavorable people and favorable situations, and the best is not to rack the brain, why is it like this, why is it like this, but deal with them as good as we can, as detached as we can. And also, if something happened like it happened to you now, and then there was a certain amount of anger until action was taken, then okay, you dealt with it like that. Of course, one can also deal and be firm and say like this, it's not possible without blowing up without getting angry, but so what? It has happened like this. Now, you can just keep that intent that in a future situation where things are a bit hairy, as good as possible, I remain connected and need not get angry in order to get the message over there. But I mean, these habits of reacting in certain ways are so strong that they still come back, even if we decide like this. And then you can just see, okay, so what got me again? No big deal. Now I'm here. Now I'm not there. And if you remember the situation and because of the memory and what has happened, anger comes back there, you can just step a step back and watch. And, oh, anger is back. It's doing its thing in my body right now. Watch it and relax. Not take it serious. Not go in the game of I'm right, they are wrong. I'm right, they are wrong. Or maybe they are right and I was wrong.
No, I am right. I am definitely right. Yeah.
When it comes back, the memory and the emotion comes back, even if in the situation you couldn't sort of totally handle the emotion, but when the memory comes back and the emotion comes back there, you can handle it and say, hey, come on. Now I just let it happen, the memory, the emotion, and watch it, see what it is doing and relax. Then it's getting weaker, the tendency.
Yes, thank you. Because the first thing is to not beat myself up for getting angry.
Yeah.
And the second thing is just to let myself observe it.
Right.
Yes.
It's not that from a moment on when you decided that you go on the spiritual path, then you should never, ever, ever get angry.
No, it's like, it's funny because I say, I know that, but there I do, like the subtle core, there is this thing that I shouldn't, and it's really subtle. It's sort of like, it's,
yeah. But then you see again, also you observe, there I'm judgmental about the other thing, and that also you can objectify and not more identify with it.
Yes. In a way, it's being a beginner. Being a beginner is ever fresh. It's like it blows away the cobwebs,
Right.
This whole spiritual ego is just it's a dense thing. It just has to be blown away. It's in a way, it's gratitude to sort of say, I don't know anything. I got no idea.
Actually, if you're really sincere, that feeling doesn't really go, of being a beginner. Because no matter how far you got, it's like, wow, there's still infinity beyond that.
It's really refreshing now. I feel, yeah.
Very good. Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
When we start consciously, so-called, because one is always on that path, but when we start consciously on the spiritual path, okay, then we accept, okay, now I'm beginner and I'm ready to learn and open to learn, and then we get some experience, and we learn so many things, so many concepts, so many beliefs, and the feeling starts to grow that we are now slowly getting an advanced sadhak, an advanced spiritual seeker, spiritually developed, evolved, and start to judge, and more evolved than that one. And then when we continue really and get not stuck in those kind of feelings, then more and more that feeling comes back. Ooh, and I just started, but with another sense than in the first time. The first time it's like, oh, I'm a beginner and there's a lot of work to do. But when does that comes back, that feeling of beginner, it's not a heavy thing, it's a light thing, then wow, whatever has happened, whatever you really got, that you really got, that you have experienced and it's yours, then you still have the feeling, oh my God, I just have a little bit touched. I have touched the essence, and of the expression of that essence, I have touched so little, and there is infinity beyond that. Then automatically you feel like, oh, I just started. Okay, but joyously. Great, wonderful. There's so much more to experience, to learn, to go through. Essentially, we don't change, and yet the experience of it keeps on unfolding and unfolding. There's no end to it. Okay, is there anybody else who would like to come in? Please come.
Hello, Werner.
Oh, hello, Nelly.
I want to thank you very much for your satsangs every Saturday. I appreciate them very much. It's very helpful. I see in myself that I'm very touched by questions of people that have some serious diseases, so their close people have something like this. And I see that it touched me so much, and when they share so open about it, and I see your support in it, and your deep understanding, and I see that you always say about this aspect in us that is unattached and unconcerned of any diseases and any difficulties. And I see that I appreciate it so much, and it's so valuable to hear it again and again, because it gives so much support and courage in any situation, and and your easiness about everything, and your understanding that all of these external things and all this is a magic show that you tell us again and again. I feel so much gratitude for your words. I feel it very close and appreciate so much. And thank you very much for this reminder again and again in every situation. You say this, and your easiness and your sense of humor and all your words, they I feel so much gratitude for this.
You're welcome. But did you also want to talk something you are busy with, or you just wanted to express this?
I wanted to say this because I feel so touched by this for some days. That's what I wanted to say now, just to express this. Yeah.
Right. And actually, that people come out and tell so openly things that touch them is great. It needs a lot of courage, knowing that it's in public, but at the same time, it does also something. To have the courage to express something that you are emotionally involved in and personally involved in, and then to come out with it, that in itself is a way to already let loose a lot of it, relax from it and detach from it. So the talking in itself can be very helpful, just to have the courage and put it out so openly in the public.
Yes, I see it. Exactly. Yeah.
And then you all who are here, you're also supporting.
Okay, I feel a lot of gratitude to all the people that come to Satsangs. Yes, for this space that we have together. Appreciate it so much. Thank you very much.
Okay. Hari Om, Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Is there anybody else who would like to come and talk?
Hello, Werner.
Hello? Hello? Who's Shreya.
Yeah.
Yes, hello Shreya.
Hello. I'm interested in this dealing with thoughts of other people.
Yeah.
Because I work, I suppose it's mostly from work. I work in an environment, it's like an office environment, although we work from home a lot now, so it's a bit different.
Yeah.
And, you know, when our work environment is not too bad, and then they're pretty open about different kinds of people and different ideas. But still, I feel like, especially like my boss, you tell her things and then, you know, she's just got this funny idea about it, or I don't know, I just get this feeling that there's these thoughts going on in her mind that she's reinterpreting things in a certain way and has certain ideas about it. And it's hard, I find, although I need to have a relationship with people, but then I also need to step back and not tell them too much.
Yeah.
And then find a balance.
Right.
And then also sometimes how I deal when I think they've misunderstood, you know, I don't want to judge, but, you know, just how to, I suppose, respond to that.
Right. And it will happen all the time that we are feeling misunderstood. It's just inevitable that the people say something and the others hear that through their filter and understand something else. Or watch the actions of people and project wrong motivations into it. It will happen all the time. The important thing is that you are at ease, at peace with yourself about anything you say, about anything you do. If you feel I'm fine with myself for having done that, then this, whatever otherwise happens, it will not have anywhere the same impact than if I'm always doubting myself and think, oh, I should have done different, I should have said like this, I should. The more we do that, the more we are vulnerable to the ideas that come from outside. So it's good to have first a good look at oneself and learn to let go of all these sabotaging tendencies that doing something and after doing immediately start to think, oh, maybe it was not the right thing, maybe I should have done different. Okay, I've done like this, then that's that. And if somebody comes and tells us, oh, you should have done in another way, then we can also have the openness, maybe, oh, they're right, okay, thank you for the teaching. But if you are fine with yourself, then it doesn't really matter so much what the others think. Then, of course, with the boss is a bit a special situation if you are an employee that somehow in that situation as an employee, somehow there should be a certain harmony between the boss. But you are right, you can also learn to say as much as you think is good and know for yourself what you think and feel, and sometimes also just be totally okay that that's no point that I'm expressing that you adjust to the situation externally and do as good as much as good as you feel is right. It's diplomatic. But then we can also start to project in people in power position. Are they doubting now? What are they thinking now? So if they don't come out and give a negative feedback, then better don't support a possible negative feedback by already expecting it from your part. But even if it's there, if it's not disturbing your working relationship, then you can also think, so what? After all, okay, in this situation, there's the power position, boss, me, but really we are just two conscious living beings, and whether she is now appreciative of what I say or what I do in everything, so what does it matter? You don't really need that. It's your sense of security comes out of yourself and not from the feedback.
Yeah, that's fine. Sometimes she's very tenacious and she'll start asking questions, and it can be about work or it can be about my life as well.
Yeah.
And she'll kind of throw questions at me, and then later on I think I didn't really need to tell her all that. It's probably better if I didn't. And sort of, how do I back off? It's like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, I suppose it's just having, maybe pausing. It's just, practice, experience.
Right, you have perfectly the right that you say that far or not beyond that. If you think it's intrusive how somebody comes after you, then you have very well the right to say, no, this is all right. And if you can, you diplomatically diffuse the thing and redirect the attention on something else. And if it's necessary, you say, hey, this is just getting too far. I don't want to talk about that. You really have the right to do so. Better than after that feeling, oh, why did I do it? Why has it now gotten me again?
Yeah, I think it comes back to this second guessing. I think I have a long-term habit of second guessing myself.
Yeah, right.
This came to me when Helen was speaking before too, because in some level, perhaps she was second guessing too, or she had a reaction to that experience anyway. And that, in a way, I have this sense where I'll think about something later on, and I know it's a habit, it's a mental habit, and I'm getting better at catching myself with it. Yeah. And I have to say, these satsangs have been so helpful for me, because I've had a quite a bit of upheaval in the last month. I've sort of been going from place to place, and I've staying with different people. I've had to be out of my place, and I've sort of been going to satsang at one place and then another place and another place. So I've kind of had a bit of upheaval, and I really look forward to going to the satsangs, and I find that your words come to me at times that really help much better than if it came from, you know, like if it was my own mental words, it wouldn't have the same effect as when I hear it as though you were saying it. It comes to me, which is really helpful.
Yeah, sometimes it helps to hear what we already know anyhow. But definitely that is the base rule, that you have to be at ease with yourself. And it's nothing wrong thinking, something may not have been so perfectly well, and we learn from the situation and adjust the next time. But that habit of, no matter what we are doing, after that going and starting to analyze, and maybe I should have done this, and maybe this is a habit one can learn to let go, because it's just sabotaging our life force. It's draining our life force and not really bringing anything positive. And the more I do that to myself, the more, of course, I'm suspecting that others are doing it about me. And when they do it and when they express it, then I'm more vulnerable. Starts always with ourselves. Yeah.
Yes, it's true. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Carry on.
Hari Om, Hari Om. Shreya just said, I'm often second guessing myself. It's a habit. Well, you, Shreya, and some 7 billion other people. With some, it's more than others, but it's a general tendency. And of course, it's one way of being attached to my self-image, to how I appear, not to what I am, but to the image, that I give a good image. So I should be perfect, do the right thing always. Well, there is no such a thing in manifestation. There is not a perfect thing in manifestation. Everything is relative. Everything has positive aspects and negative aspects. And then, even if we do something, some people will prove it's wonderful what we did, and some people will think it's wonderful, and others will think it's just absolutely, totally off what we did. Same thing. This will be all the time. This is like this in this relative world. Some people will like it, some people won't like it. What matters is not that we do the opposite and think, anyhow, I'm right all the time. It's not the question of I'm right, they are wrong. It's just that we learn to be in the flow of life, expressing ourselves playfully, joyously, more and more spontaneously. And then that doesn't mean, even if we do it like this, we may do so many blunders. But once something has happened, if something comes very strong, an idea, a feeling, oh my God, there I went completely wrong, then we can have a good look at it and yes, accept, as if it was a critic from somewhere else. Yes, that's right. There I could have done better. So what? Okay, past is already past. in a similar situation, I'm already wiser for the experience that I have had done it like this. But if there is not such like a message that comes from a situation, then when the tendency is there to start to brood over it and start to cut it into little pieces and analyze it, there, when we catch ourselves, we can say, hey, come on, no more. I've done no more. I've done that now. And just let it go, relax. And then when it comes back, see it again and see what it is doing to my experience right now, instead of getting into the discussion whether it was right what I did there, or whether it was wrong, or whether I should have done a bit different or so. But just see what all this wanting to analyze and to second guess, what it is doing to me right now, my experience. Energetically, what it is doing physically, and relax. The more that capacity comes, then that we just can relax, the freer you feel. And then it becomes also totally harmonious. Sometimes after an action, one can think about it and see, oh, yeah, there I can learn something. There is room for improvement, fine, nothing wrong. But not bringing always that judgmentality into it. This was good, this was not good. This was good, this was not good. This was good, this was not good. This is just eating up our life force and keeps us stuck on a certain level. So the habit is there in everyone, more or less. But when we feel the habit coming back and the rumba starts, just redirect the attention to the present and see what this nagging mind, this nagging attitude, what it is doing to my experience right now. And then let go, relax, center, breathe, relax, center, breathe, relax. In that way, old habits like this, getting less and less and less. And in the end, they lose their power. They may be there as a tendency to sometimes put up the head, but then so what? I see you. And then we can just drop it again. Okay, is there anybody else who would like to come in? Please come.
Yeah, hello.
I hear a hello, but I don't see anybody so far.
You see me now?
No.
Okay. But my camera is on. It's Anita.
Hello, Anita. Yeah, okay. Maybe it's coming after a moment. Last time also it took a little moment that when you tried to come in, but I can hear you.
Okay. My question is about.
Now I see you.
What you talked about now, maybe about the I see that's the thinking mind. And can you talk about the difference, how to distinguish the how to separate the thinking and the working mind, and if it's a good idea, or I mean, I guess it's a good idea to stop to be aware of when the mind starts to think and ponder about situations. But is it possible to only just really be in this state of yeah, being here now and only use the working mind for, doing things and the work or whatever.
Right, now I have to go to the other side of the room and do this.
Right.
Uh, mind, there is no such thing as a mind, but there is that capacity to form consciousness into reasonable thoughts. And that's a beauty. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a gift that we have as humans, that we can turn consciousness into reasonable thoughts and put one reasonable thought after another in a line of reasonable thoughts. There's nothing wrong with doing that. What is creating the problem that we are so compelled to just turning round and round and round and round about things. Like that, we make them so totally, we crystallize them, we make them so real. That reality that we are living in seems to be so real because we think so much about it. If we stop doing that, that reality aspect starts to become diffuse and we become aware it's not as real as it appears to be. So you cannot simply decide from now on, I'm only going to use the working mind. You can decide, but it won't necessarily work like that. It's just good to be that you consequently, when you become aware, now I'm just turning around something. I have been thinking it already 100,000 times and it's not necessary to go about again, that we can at that time learn a way to redirect the attention, to let go of that and bring it back to the present, to the now, and learn to relax. We may stay a little moment or we may stay a bit longer and then off we go again. I guess there is no other way but to really consequently go about it whenever you catch it. Not that you start to scold yourself and say, oh, it's no good, Anita, you are no good that you are already going there thinking again. But just when you become aware at that moment, bring it back and relax. Even if you stay only a little bit, that little moment is very precious. And if you do it again and again, it's building up its own momentum, its own power. And gradually that power will be more than the habitual power of doing things in an unfavorable way. So even the continuous thinking is just a habit, but it's a very strong habit and it's supported with the fact that around the globe there are 7 billion other people doing that all the time. Thinking. So it's quite a Herculean task to really step out of it. And it's good to go about it playfully instead of thinking, oh, it's a terrible, terrible, terrible job. But whenever you catch yourself, uh-oh, there I am again, turn around and be here and relax. And then you don't feel it's a heavy burden, and somehow it would be a heavy, heavy burden to be all the time in the present and just only in touch with that instead of escaping through the thoughts. It's not. It looks from the level of the mind, from the level of the thoughts, it looks like that would be quite heavy, quite intense, but heavy, somewhat like a tremendous continuous effort, but it's not. We can make that little effort of reminding and come back and relax. And that somehow we don't get around of doing it again and again. If you are playful about it, then it doesn't look like such a heavy task. If you go, uh-oh, got you. Hey, Anita, come home.
matter of control and trusting that, because in my system, I guess there's somehow this idea, if I don't control the situations and think about it, I cannot trust that it's all good. But my experience showed me that it does work when it's like being in a free fall and not controlling the situations and seeing that, oh, I'm taken care of.
And most of the time, it's also a total illusion that we can control the situation. We may try, we may plan, we may set up everything right, and then things go totally different. That doesn't mean we should become unreasonable. We have very well the right to use common sense and deal with situations with common sense. But that does not mean that we have to have the feeling that we should be in control. We just can put our positive input in a situation, and then, okay, you can call it fate. Have faith that, after all, somehow it's being woven into a cosmic tapestry over which we anyhow have no control. Right? It has to do with faith, to stop trying to control all the time. Control everything. Control the whole world. Control our whole environment. Control what is happening in my relationship. Control, control, control. We can have ideas, how we prefer it. We can put that idea into the situation, but then always learn to have that openness. It may work out, it may not work out. And by being more relaxed, automatically you can say that sense of faith is there. The more you relax, the more it's just that awareness, nothing can really happen. Nothing can touch your essence and hurt you. We can be hurt in the mind, we can be hurt in the body, emotionally, we can be hurt very much. But the more we try to defend and try to make protections and try to avoid that it's happening, the more we are also inviting that it happens. And all the trying to control the situation is still not working. On the other hand, the more you learn to relax, the less you give out the invitation for difficulties to happen, but still they will happen. But the more you have also then your vital energy ready to be used in that situation and turn that situation into something more creative than when we have done all the things in order to try to control, then we have spent so much of vitality just for that.
I guess I wanted to hear from you something like that. It's really like that it's the best to let go of control.
Right.
In your words, yeah.
Sometimes in a certain situation, you come to a situation and for a short moment you may feel, oh, it's my job to, at least apparently, take control there. Then you jump into it, do it, get out of it, and you let it go. But such situations are rather few. Most of the time, it's not at all required that we should stand there and be in control. But rather playfully go along with the flow of life, of experience right now. And the more you can relax in it, the more that the awareness is there. You can call it fate. The more that fate is there, that after all, nothing can really, really happen to you.
Mm. Yeah, and isn't it that actually that the moment, out of the moment itself, the right, or if you can call it right answer, is always coming if I don't blind myself with my expectations and stuff.
Right? The more you are in touch with yourself and relaxed, the more spontaneously you are just acting. And then your reactions to the situation is really something creative, not simply an emotional reaction. Then it's like it something comes and it triggers a beautiful aspect in you and creative aspect in you, and spontaneously it comes out without having to have practiced before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Without thinking, okay, if I meet those people the next time, if they behave like this, I have to do this, I have to do that. If they say like this, I'm going to say that. That's a mental tendency to do so in order to be safe.
Mm.
Right, that we cannot taken by surprise. But then we are being taken by surprise anyhow. So better prepare yourself by being yourself at ease, at peace. Then the more you come like this in any situation, the more you can deal with it. And even if we do sometimes some terrible blunders, so what?
Mm.
Then the situation goes. Some people may have a big laugh, so what? Then we come out of it and it's gone. It's already the past. It's not more real, except as a memory. Yeah. That thing of being in control, it's anyhow an illusion. In spite of that, one tries again and again and again and all the time, and it's still not working, but it's not working because it's simply not possible. This present situation that it is as it is the confluence of so many influences. It's like from all the directions, influences come, and out of this, magically, this situation appears. And our input is one aspect of many inputs. And that's far as our control goes.
Oh, can you say that again, the last thing?
Yeah, I mean, that the situation is as it is. So many influences are there to create this particular situation that is happening right now. And our input into this situation is one aspect of many different aspects. And that input that can be beautiful or can be cramped and tense, but it's still only one input, and there are so many other inputs. And that's as far as our control goes, that we can influence that one aspect. But we cannot control all these other influences that contribute to this particular situation.
Yeah.
That control is simply not there. But we don't need also. That's what we have to learn to see, to feel, to understand. We don't need to be in control. Sometimes, some situation, okay, right now it fits, chuck, you take control, you give a little push in a direction, you let go, and the situation is gone. And otherwise, just be. It's much more important that you learn to be yourself than to think that you can set up things that they are just right for the future. Spontaneity comes the more you are relaxed in yourselves. Spontaneously, it doesn't mean that we have to be unable to make any plans. I have met many spiritual people who want to be, they always say, I want to be spontaneous. And they are totally impossible to deal with because you cannot even for 5 minutes before a situation say, can we go and meet over there? I want to be spontaneous. We can very well deal with the life on this level with common sense. There's absolutely nothing wrong. It's a great asset if somebody has that capacity to use common sense. But then within that also spontaneity comes more and more. The more this contact is there. It's not that we should so make a big fuss that I cannot plan even a little thing. We can very well plan. Sometimes it works not out, sometimes it works out. But the spontaneity of simply living from the source is coming the more you relax, the more you let go in the now. That doesn't mean if we are spontaneous that we lose common sense. We can very well deal with situation very reasonable with a lot of common sense and still be totally spontaneous in that. In touch with that beauty, with that creativity that is there in everybody. Shall we leave it at that?
Thank you.
Yeah. I think we stop the official part of the satsang for today. I've been talking a lot, but then sometimes it happens like this. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.